It's actually the first time in Kentucky's history that we are releasing Hellbenders back into the wild.
This week on Kentucky Afield, we'll join biologists in the field and check out something that you certainly don't see every day. Next, we're catfishing down on Kentucky Lake and using a pretty unique lure, Chad's hand. Then, we'll dive into the archives and take a look back at one of our most unique segments from the early 2000s. It's all next on Kentucky Afield.
Kentucky Afield. Every week, Kentucky Afield brings you features on hunting and fishing across the state.
That's my pup. I'm proud of him.
Here he comes right there. Let's get ready. Get ready.
Look at that. What a nice fish. Hey, we dug it up right there.
We did.
There he is. Ooh, a nice one, too. Boy, he's healthy.
What do we got?
That was awesome. Got the first help.
Got one. Big smallmouth.
Very nice.
Double point. They're in there.
There they go.
Oh, my gosh. Woo! Look at that joker.
Look at that.
Beautiful. Whoa, this is a good one.
That's better than good, Chad.
Hello, and welcome to Kentucky Afield. I'm your host, Chad Miles. Join us as we journey the Commonwealth in search of outdoor adventure. The habitat work and population monitoring that the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife does is not only limited to the animals that we hunt and fish for, it's sometimes useful for animals that we hardly ever even see. Today we're here in Rowland County. I'm here with Zach Couch, and today is a super special day. Tell us what we're doing today.
Today we're going to go out and do a release. It's actually the first time in Kentucky's history that we are releasing Hellbenders back into the wild.
Most outdoors people have never seen a Hellbender. What are we looking for today?
Hellbender is actually our largest species of salamander we have in the state. They can be over 2 feet long. They live in fairly decent sized streams and rivers. They have to have these really big boulders that they live under, so that's why most people haven't seen them. They're actually hidden in plain sight underneath of some of these large boulders in a creek. So we've spent the last 4 years going out surveying different streams in Kentucky, trying to see which streams actually still have populations of Hellbenders, and what we've determined is our population in Kentucky is really declining for a lot of different reasons. So as a result of that, we've started going into the streams where we know that we can find these egg masses. In the wild, the eggs maybe have 1% chance of survival, but in a lab, we can get 60-65% survival. So we've worked with Purdue University. We pull the egg masses out of the stream. They raise the Hellbenders for 3 or 4 years, and then we get to go back and actually restock some of these streams now that are declining. So we had a clutch of about 500 eggs from 4 years ago. We're keeping 25 of those as sort of our year 1 reintroduction program. In years moving forward, we'll have more and more that we'll release. The rest of those animals will actually go to Indiana, and they're doing the same project up there, but the problem is they haven't found any egg masses in Indiana. So they're using some of our Kentucky animals to repopulate some streams in Indiana at the same time as we're doing the work here.
So that's one reason why a university in Indiana is very interested in this project and working with us, because they're literally rearing these things and then bringing them back and then also seeding some of them in their state as well. So both states are actually going to be benefiting.
That's right. You know, the thing when you're looking at wildlife conservation is, we're focused obviously on Kentucky, but these species are often in multiple states. And if the species is declining throughout its entire range, we should do what we can, not just to better the population in Kentucky, but throughout the range of the species, so that we have multiple sites to diversify where we can find this animal at, to hopefully keep it off of the endangered species list, which is our ultimate goal here.
They're not here yet. They're on their way from Purdue. We're going to be getting 25, right?
That's right.
What are we going to be looking at size-wise?
They're probably going to be somewhere in the range of 6 to maybe 10 inches long, something like that.
So by the time they're that size, most fish species, unless it's a muskie, probably don't have a whole lot of worries there, do they?
Right, it's not going to be so much fish. River otters are going to take a few of them. The main reason that they're declining is actually we have to find good habitat not only for adults but also for those larvae. Okay. And the larvae really need those clean gravel streams to be able to get up in the little areas in the gravel, and that's where they hide out at until they grow to adulthood.
So Zach, we're saying this is a release, and it is a release, but it's kind of a controlled release.
It is. What we've done is we've built these soft enclosures that we'll actually be able to put the animals in, and it'll hopefully contain them on site for a few days. And the whole idea there is, these animals have been in a lab all their life. We're putting them out here in the wild. We don't want them to start moving around too much on day one and not being able to really figure out what they're doing, and then be easy prey for any predators that move through. So what Purdue has found in some of the work they've done in Indiana is you put them in these soft-sided enclosures in the stream for a couple days. The Hellbenders start to kind of figure out their environment, figure out their surroundings, and then we'll come back in 3 or 4 days, remove that soft enclosure, and then they can slowly distribute throughout the stream where they need to go. So once we get the animals here on site, we've got some coolers. We'll put them in with some water to make sure that we don't stress them out any more than we have to.
It's fine in here.
Yep.
They even brought red and blue buckets. I thought they'd be black and gold buckets.
Pretty impressive.
Right now we are headed down to the creek, and then we'll slowly get the Hellbenders moved down and we'll bring them out into the stream. We've already got our soft enclosures set up in a good spot, good looking habitat. We'll have you and whoever else we have here today as volunteers helping us take the Hellbenders out of the coolers and slide them into the soft enclosure, and just from there, it's a hands-off process of letting them settle into their new environment. We will come back here every year and monitor the site. All the animals that we'll be receiving today have a pit tag in them. It's the same thing as people have in their pets sometimes.
Okay.
For the lost pet, we have those already embedded into the Hellbender, so we can go out and actually see which Hellbender we catch in the wild, pull it out, and be able to use a wand on it to see, okay, this is an animal that we released in 2022 that was actually brood stock from 2017.
These could be producing offspring for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yep, that's the plan, is to be able to recover this population to where, in let's say 10 years from now, we have the population back throughout its historic distribution in the state. They're reproducing on their own, and we can move on to conserve another species that is declining. You know, we don't want to do this work forever. We just want to be able to kind of head start this population. This is considered triage. This is just enough to keep the population going until we address some of the upstream issues with sedimentation into the stream.
Hey, this is really cool work. I've done some cool projects. You really get to do some fun things. But a Hellbender is such a unique animal. I have spent countless hours flipping rocks in streams, and I have never seen one in the wild. I've
really
seen them
rare.
in aquariums, and I've seen them locations like that. But so today, to get out here and physically get your hands on one and turn one loose into the wild, what a treat.
This is a big day. Anytime we can take animals from the lab and release them back into the stream to recover a population, that's a big win for us. This is something that we couldn't have done without the membership with our Kentucky Wild program, who have actually provided financial support to go out and put our artificial nest boxes out and to do some of the work that we're doing here today.
This is a special day here in Kentucky, not only for conservationists and members of Kentucky Wild, but also our biologists. So great work.
Thank you.
There are many different ways to catch a catfish, but one of the most unique ways, and probably the most exciting, is by just reaching in with your hands and grabbing them. All right, for me, I don't like the water. You don't see me in too often, so not that I'm afraid of it. I just think it's cold. All right, so
Swim, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah. We're down here on the banks of the Kentucky Lake. This is the place that I've done a lot of fishing, but the type of fishing we're doing today is brand new to me.
We're going to be jumping in the water and hopefully grabbing some big flathead catfish by hand. Some people call it hogging, and some people call it tickling, and some call it hand fishing, but it's all the same thing.
So I believe he's sticking his foot in there and he's locating that hole, and he's kind of positioning himself and getting ready, getting a good lung full of air and diving down and literally going all the way to his feet and then running his hand up in that hole. I'm sure that people that you've told you like to go out and noodle or hand grab catfish, they're probably like, oh my God, aren't you scared?
Oh, it's a defining characteristic. I mean, you tell people you catfish noodle, and it's one of the things they always remember about you, and they always ask. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the appeals of it.
He's been down there a while. Oh, there he is. There he is. He's got it.
Little guy.
What do you got there?
Just a little channel cat. You can see where they get skinned up under those rocks and things.
Oh yeah, that's the way to get started. You're just gonna turn him loose and
Yeah, just turn him loose and
find his way right on back down.
then we can go find something bigger. I've been noodling catfish, I guess 16 years. As a matter of fact, my very first assignment as an outdoor writer was to go down to Mississippi and try to noodle a catfish and write a story about it. Those guys, they were pretty intense, pretty serious about it, but I learned how to do it. I caught a nice flathead, and I was like, man, this is cool. I like big catfish, I always have. I've always been intrigued by them. And I grew up catching snakes and frogs and lizards, and like a lot of country kids do, and I just like being outside doing that sort of thing. So we've been doing it about 15 years now, and kind of a crew of family and buddies, and we have a great time. We go every summer.
Oh, yeah, I feel him. I feel the pad. Get ready. There you go. There he is.
Kentucky actually has a season. It opens June 1st. It really gets going when the water temperature hits about 80 degrees. It's when the flatheads kind of start moving up into the holes, and stays good for a few weeks there. And honestly, by about the middle of July, we're skinned up and worn out and ready to hang it up for the year anyway. Check his gills and be sure nothing's bleeding, and it's not.
So fish is in good shape.
He's in good shape. He got a little skinned up there on the rock. But
That's kind of part of it.
yeah. Well, you can see on their back a lot of healed stuff.
Yeah.
And even his dorsal fin, he's wallowed that down, you know, where he's gotten up under there and dug, you know. So
I tell you what, flathead catfish though are
they're cool, aren't they? Look at that mouth.
Look at that big old mouth and these little bitty eyes. They are a prehistoric looking fish. He'll find his way right back in.
He'll find his way right back in. I about guarantee you catch him in there tomorrow. So. Well, we need to catch one about 3 times that size. So.
Your wife actually enjoys doing this.
She does, my wife and my son Ance. We're an outdoors family. We hunt and fish for anything that's in season, year round. So we've been going out and doing this for a long time. Wouldn't have it any other way.
So Ance is getting up here. This is a really shallow spot, which is absolutely perfect for a first timer or a young fella like this. Oh, he's in there. Yep, he's in there.
All right, you got to get down in the water, belly down. There you go.
Remember, get your face in the water. See my arms down in the hole? He's been going out here with us since 2 years old. You know, we've been putting him in the boat and taking him along, and it's a catfish. It might bite his hand, but it's not gonna hurt him. He'll be okay. He just came up and bit Ance's hand. He bite your hand? You okay? Michelle and I have always hunted and fished together, and we just decided when he was born, we're just going to take him with us.
Yeah.
And, you know, when he gets big enough to decide he doesn't want to go, that's fine, but he sure likes it. He loves it.
Good job. So what'd that feel like, buddy? What'd that feel like doing that?
That was pretty fun.
Pretty fun? Did you feel the fish bite your hand?
Yeah.
He bit you one time, I know.
Did it scare you a little bit? No?
You're not scared of anything,
You've
are
done
you?
this a couple times before.
We release 99% of the catfish we catch doing this, and we almost always have. And hey, we like to catch big catfish too, so we have an interest in not killing them. You know, it's a misconception that noodlers are going out there and cleaning everything they catch. They're sport fishermen just like everybody else. A lot of people sink boxes for catfish noodling or drums, just like sinking structure for crappie, but it's, you know, it's for a single catfish.
First time I've ever tried this, so we're here at this box, and I got my feet right in the opening where I'm gonna go down and stick my arm in there and try to feel around and see if there's anything in there. What's the biggest thing you have to really watch out for?
Everybody asks about the beavers, snakes, and turtles. Every time. If I take somebody new, that's the first thing they ask. I mean, you see turtles everywhere. You see some snakes on the bank and stuff, but so far as a turtle backing up in the holes, I mean, these holes that we're checking, they're well underwater. They're under rocks and things. Didn't feel anything?
Nope, didn't feel anything.
Sweep that stick around in there. A turtle has to breathe, and it's not a place that a turtle is going to back up into.
Do you use the hook end or the other end?
Yeah, the hook end. The thing that we stress, like we always go in groups, we never have somebody dive alone. I mean, the biggest real danger is obviously drowning. There's always the chance that you're going to get stuck underwater.
I don't feel anything. Nobody home.
So we always have somebody right there next to us when we dive. And most of the holes that we check, you can stand up, but there are a few that are over your head, and those you need to be particularly careful. A lot of what we check, honestly, are holes that we found in the banks, under rocks. It's taken us 15 years of looking, and we look continuously every summer. We've kind of built a circuit of areas that we check. Some days this one will have a fish in it and that one won't, and vice versa, but it's still fishing.
Getting ready to check another hole. This is completely different than the last one. It's not actually a man-made box. It's up under the bank, and it's got some concrete in and around it. So we're gonna go see what they've got. They said this hole has been known to hold some pretty good sized fish. You already got one?
Yeah, she gets real quiet.
I tell you what, this is something that you probably wouldn't want to do by yourself for safety concerns, but it also takes some teamwork sometimes to manipulate these fish in the best way to get them out. That's what we're seeing right here.
Closed his mouth.
But if you come to the left,
I gotta push him back in.
yeah.
Is he a mean little sucker, Mama? Yes, he is, baby. He's biting the fur out of me. Oh!
That's what I get, bro.
He's a pretty good channel cat, so.
Yeah, he was biting. His little mouth wasn't big enough for my whole hand.
Nobody home?
Nothing I feel. But I heard something. Did one of you guys?
I had a stick under here. It might have been raking or something.
You want to try this one or?
Yeah, I'll double check it. The other day there was a fish that kind of laid over to the right, and he was kind of hard to find. Be sure.
It's just hard to get a feel for what you're feeling for.
Oh yeah.
Fish?
When you go in, take that stick and turn it to the right.
Okay. You hit the stick?
It's a flathead.
So once I locate where he's at with the stick, then I got to manipulate him.
Yeah, you'll kind of have to manipulate him a little bit, and you might, he'll probably bite that stick, and you might be able to just kind of pull him, and as you do, swing him out, and I would have your left hand in there ready to get him.
All right.
But you'll know it if he gets on that stick. But yeah, go in there and go straight right.
Straight right?
Yep.
All right.
Oh, heard him thump. Yeah.
We heard all that. He's got the stick.
Oh, did he take it away from you?
No, I got it right there at the mouth.
No, we didn't even have a patent on that stick.
He's on that stick. He should have him. Got hold of him.
What do we got? I had him there for a few minutes. I hadn't got him in and got my hand under there. Oh man. Well, I turned him loose, obviously.
Yeah, we got to see him. So. Nice
got him up out of there. So wait a minute, what we got here? If we slow that video down, you'll be able to tell that I actually did have a catfish in my hand for a second. I got it out, and you guys told me to keep it close to my body. Well, when I went to stand up, I was trying to show it to the camera.
Yeah.
And I had it out about this far away, and it just got loose.
Oh yeah, we all saw it, and it's on tape. So.
We were gonna turn it loose anyway, but that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
Pretty cool. You know, a 50-pound flathead is a handful. They can torque fingers and twist wrists. You can't just grab them by the jaw and let their tail go in open water because they're gonna beat you up pretty quick.
It's so far down that the pressure builds. Try and hold your breath when you get down there. Like it takes me a little while to, I just can't stay down there long on this hole.
You've got to respect a fish like that. Yeah. But if you hold them the right way, if you can kind of get their head up close to your body and get their tail under control, and that's another reason why we dive in pairs a lot. If we've got a big fish, there's no shame in having a buddy grab his tail so he doesn't beat you to death.
Oh, you got it? Oh my God.
Look at that. Look at that. A tag on him too. Kind of for my own benefit of knowledge, you know, we've started tagging some of the fish, you know, with a zip tie in the dorsal fin or something, just to see. And we've had fish that we've caught 3 weekends in a row. Catch them, take a picture of them, let them go, and they go right back in there.
What do you think that approximately poundage of this fish?
My guess would be, Ants, what's this fish weigh?
I'm about, let me look at it, about 11 pounds.
11 pounds, I think it's a little bigger than that. Between that and catching a big flathead on a live bluegill that might swallow that hook, so far as that individual fish, this is not hurting him as much. It's one of those things that you do it with knowledge and respect of the resource.
This fish got just a couple little bitty spots on it, but it's, all in all, it's in great shape. Big old fat belly on it. You really can't understand the feeling of getting in there and feeling that fish strike until you actually use your hand for a lure.
Right, exactly. We've taken a lot of new people, and that's part of the fun. Like, we like to take people. Just almost universally, it's not what they expect.
Yeah.
It's not as scary, I guess, as people think it's going to be. But also, people are pretty surprised at how powerful those fish are.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Finally. Finally got him to hit. It's amazing to me how you kind of work in groups and as a family and as teams.
It's a team sport, and it's more fun with a lot of people out here. You know?
What do you think about that? Pretty fish, huh?
I like his belly.
I know, aren't they pretty?
It looks like a little male.
I think you're probably right.
Hey, I'm going to keep an eye out for some of your articles and keep up with what you're doing. And I'm sure you and I will find some more trouble.
For sure. Yeah, someday, yeah. I think it'd be a good time. Well, I enjoyed it, buddy.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
In celebrating Kentucky Afield's 70th year on air, we're going to take a look back to see how a gentleman found a unique way to fish in the middle of the pond while setting on the bank.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff. I'm a tackle junkie, almost ready. You know, there is one more thing I want to get out of here. Off we go. Thought I'd bring a little bit too much rather than not enough. And I just got to get my stuff set up here. It shouldn't take long. This is called a seat box. These legs here are adjustable. You know, if you're going to hold the pole for a while, you do need to be comfortable. And the seat is very good. Got my little bait tray set up here. This is a pole roller. If you're going to fish the pole at any length, you got to have one of these or something like it. And now we get the getting the pole out here. They all have pretty cool names like Fight Back, or there's one called the Beastmaster.
It was a pretty long pole.
Its total length is about 48 feet.
I was wondering when it was going to end, but...
Tried a little bit farther out. They should be nervous.
You know, once I got up here, I found out it was actually a gentleman using a European-style fishing pole. This is the first one I've ever seen in real life. I've seen them on TV in years past.
We're going to try to catch a good bunch of bluegill. This started in Europe, yeah. Well, maybe he's a little bit bigger than I thought he was. He's not big, but he's not bad. Methods like this came about because the pressure is so intense on the fish, you have to use light line and small hooks and sensitive floats, or you just wouldn't catch anything. The main thing is you want the bait to look natural. If it's got a huge hook in it and it's got really thick line, it can't act natural in the water. That's its full length, 48 feet. And even at this length, I can anchor it with my elbow, not even have to use my hands. What I'm going to be using mostly today is a float like this. They're just very, very sensitive. They will show bites you just won't see on a regular float. The less float that's out of the water, the less the fish feels. There was a bite right away. Oh, it's a little catfish, that's what it is. That is bait. Those are maggots. Those are actual fly larvae.
But you think dirty, nasty, and slimy, but they're not. They're very clean, very dry. I had no idea how good they were.
It's hard to lose with maggots. I mean, they're just an awesome bait, and the fish are there, they're gonna hit it. I had 100 bluegill and crappie in about 2 hours, and I stopped counting after 2 hours. There's basically two things you can do when you can go fishing. You can go looking for the fish, you can bring the fish into you. So we're gonna try that. I'm gonna drop my bait, and put some maggots out there. And if you give them a little snack, that will stimulate them a little bit. I think a lot of people think I'm crazy, but not necessarily because of the pole. There's lots of reasons to think I'm crazy, but yeah. One guy thought I was a marine biologist doing some kind of weird water testing. When I hook the fish, obviously he's a long way from me, and I don't have a reel here. I can't reel the fish into me. So what I've got to do is I've just got to push the pole behind me like this, and I just need something to rest the pole on while I'm bringing the rest of it in. And I use the pole roller, that's what it's made for. And when I get to the fish at this point, I can take the pole apart, lift up, and just bring the fish into hand. Not bad, it's a little small. Yeah, one question I get a lot is why use something like this at all? It's control and presentation. I mean, I can put a bait exactly where I want it, and I can keep it there. If I want to fish 6 inches off the bottom, I can do that. I mean, you're fishing a long ways from the fish. You don't disturb them. So when I hook a fish, I'll set the hook, and the fish will pull out this elastic, and that's how I play the fish. And so with that, you can see here, I'll pull it apart. There's the elastic running through that. I just put this in the other night, so this is brand new elastic, and it runs, it's anchored down here in the end of the pole. And this is what's called a number 6 elastic. It's about the lightest you'd want to use. Here in America, they go a lot lighter. In Europe, but 6 is just about perfect for bluegill. There's not a lot of these poles around. As far as I know, there's 3 of them in Georgia, and I've got 2. If you use good bait, light lines, small hooks, in a place like this, you can really catch a lot of fish. And I still have bait on.
Now let's check in and see who else has been out having fun in this week's Ones That Didn't Get Away. Check out this beautiful 25-inch walleye that was caught by Shane Taylor while fishing at Laurel River Lake. That's a keeper. This smile on Addison York, who's 4 years old, is priceless. This is her first ever catch while fishing on Laurel Lake. It won't be her last. Check out this smile on Judson Brolin. He is 7 years old and he went frog gigging at a pond in Hardin County. Well, it's that time of year again. It's time for our annual Kentucky Wild Question and Answer Show. Please join us on Monday, July 31st at 8 o'clock Eastern Time to get all of your questions answered. To watch us live, join us at Facebook, YouTube, or at fw.ky.gov. And remember, hunting and fishing on private property is a privilege. Always ask permission and thank the landowner. Until next time, I'm your host, Chad Miles, and I hope to see you in the woods or on the water.